Okay, we're out at a familiar place, and we're with a familiar man. We're with Guenther Steiner. Guenther, we are at a familiar place, but not for a familiar reason.
Yeah, normally I'm here for Formula One, but no, it was a nice opportunity with me living in North Carolina. It's the closest MotoGP race I can get to, and I always wanted to go to a MotoGP race in the last years. It's always good to see how things are done, how people do things different, and my last MotoGP race was, I think it was 17 years ago in Laguna Seca, a long time ago. So I know a lot of people here. And by the way, it's always cool to come to Austin.
Yeah, well, I know you're usually here for Formula One, and it's a different paddock feel. Are you a fan of the sport? I know it sounds like you're a fan of the business models and checking it out. What about the sport itself?
I think the sport itself, I'm a fan. I don't watch every race, to be honest, but I follow it, who is good, who is not good, but I think it's just what these guys do is pretty cool. I think these riders, they are some of them are really special, riding these bikes. But no, it's I like the sport.
Well, I wanted to ask you primarily about the Liberty Media announcement that they were going to take over MotoGP by the end of the year if they can get through all the monopoly laws and things like that. What's your first take on that?
My first take on it, it's a good thing. I mean, the big boss was here yesterday, Greg Maffei. I had a chat with him, these guys know what they're doing. Look what they did with Formula One. Obviously, everybody now thinks it's replicating. I think they're smarter than that. They will not. They will not create a Me Too. They will create something special out of MotoGP if everything goes through, as you rightly said. Because I was told that there is a few hurdles still they need to overcome. But I think there is nobody better qualified to overcome than Liberty Media. And if they buy into the sport, if they get the majority of the sport, they will invest in it and they will develop it. But what they normally do, like they did in F1, they keep the sport alone. They add to the sport. They're not taking away from the sport. They are adding it, because it's always the people saying, "Oh, but then it will be just this." No, they know the value of the sport and they just add on to it to make it bigger.
Yeah, that's what fans were saying. Are they going to change my sport that I love? Are they going to come in and change it? But I was thinking about the things that they would do. And of course, the first thing that came to my mind is maybe a Ride It to Survive.
I don't know about that. There is a lot of Me Too shows of Drive to Survive done already, and they were not as successful. I think Drive to Survive had an advantage. It was the first show like this. Well done, by the way, and it was in a good period of time as well. The sport, Formula One was in a good place. So I don't know what they're doing on that one, but maybe they do a show. But I think there was one done already about it. But I think they come up with a lot good and new ideas as well.
Well, we've been talking to journalists and people in MotoGP, and they were even talking about changing the show here in Austin. They're getting the fans engaged, and they already are saying it. It's kind of the Liberty mindset. So I think that from what I've seen, most of the people directly involved in sport are very excited about it.
Yeah, no, and the Espeleta family, they know what they're doing. They're running the sport basically in the moment, and obviously they look around and see how to make the sport bigger. Carmelo and Carlos Espeleta are two guys which have got their eyes wide open and see the future. And they just in these times now, the sport needs to go to the people, and that's what they're trying to do, because the people then get involved in it. They like it much more than just sitting on a grandstand watching a bike go by. You need to give people more than that. You need to almost involve them in the sport, and that creates a fun.
Interesting, this weekend they've got Moto America's Baggers series, and it was really pretty fascinating. But I noticed coming in and out of here the amount of bagger motorcycles in the parking lot. Exactly what you're saying. It's an engagement on a different level, but they're going after a different audience. Those guys, those Harley riders, they weren't watching MotoGP before, and maybe they will now in this same weekend.
Yeah, the baggers were something new for me as well. I learned, you see, that's why I come to these races, to learn new things. I learned that one because I couldn't, what they're doing, bikes with backs on there, out there, and then I was told there's a lot of development going into these bikes, and the backs is just like, it just started off a few years ago, this series, and it's very successful. So, as you say, there's a lot of Harley riders, and obviously if they see their machine riding at the same event like MotoGP, then they get interested in MotoGP as well, and which is cool, And I must say, a lot of MotoGP fans watch the bagger race. Like I watched the second one yesterday because the first one I didn't really understand, and then I had actually an expert with me, the two Kenny Roberts explaining me about the baggers. You cannot get any better than that, than having King Kenny explaining what they're doing. So that is what I had learned, and I watched the second race. So I think it goes both ways, and as long as we create entertainment for the fans, it's cool.
Well, I want to talk a little Formula One with you. There's recent news. Alonso's staying with Aston Martin, but that's not a huge surprise. What has surprised you so far this year in Formula One? Any big surprise to you?
No big surprise on the competition side of it. I think I was very positive that the Ferraris won Australia because they were very competitive. I know that Max retired on the first lap, but I think they would have taken the fight to him anyway. I think if Ferrari is doing a good development program, we can get maybe that they beat Max a few times, because that is, I think, would be very nice for everybody, because everybody's waiting for that. As much as I like Max and I respect what he's doing, there is no animosity there. It's just like for the sport in general. And I think even himself, he would like a little bit of a challenge, somebody beating him so the real Max can come out,
Yeah, I think, yes, it's great to be dominant like that, and they've got it figured out. But of course they want to have competition. They want somebody else to give them a run for it.
Absolutely. I mean, when you compete, you always want something to fight for, because if everybody tells you, yeah, you win, you have got the best car. Yeah, he's got the best car, but he's very good. But, you can show that one better when you fight somebody.
Okay, put your team principal hat on, and you're around the grid, the paddock, and you're going, Carlos Sainz is available. Who do you think might be, everybody's interested in him because he's a great driver. I'm saying rider at MotoGP. But who do you think that might take him up?
It's difficult to say. But I mean, I'm sure Audi wants him, which is Sauber now. But obviously, Carlos is doing very well in the moment. And as much as it's intriguing that there's a works team coming for 26, in the moment he doesn't want to go backwards, and that would be. Does he make one step back to make two forward? I don't know. I don't know what Audi's doing, and I cannot talk on that. But for sure they tell him what they're doing. But I think he will be eyeing in the moment. There's still this thing out. Max may be going to Mercedes. I don't think so. Personally, I think he stays at Red Bull. It's a good place for him. I mean, there is, there is some issues there, but in the end, it's still a good place. And the seat free in Formula One in the moment is Mercedes, and I think Carlos will try to get that one. Even Mercedes are not on a high in the moment. They are a little bit struggling. So, but. It's very unfortunate for Carlos that he's doing very well in the Ferrari and he's out of it at the end of the year. But, I respect the Sainz family very much. I know the father very well. He's a friend of good old days. They will find a good solution for Junior.
I want to ask you about the news from Andretti Global, where they announced the opening of their, 46,000 square foot facility near Silverstone. And I think they had 80 employees, including some Cadillac. That was pretty impressive news from them.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive news, and I think unexpected. For me, unexpected. I didn't know that they keep on doing it. I mean, I don't know where their talks are in the moment with FOM. I mean, FOM told them they are welcome in 28 when Cadillac comes in with the engine package. So I don't know really where it stands, but for sure they must be sure that they get a license at some stage to make these investments.
Yeah, they're making their intentions very clear. In fact, I think they said their intent is 2026 even.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that is getting, obviously very tight. But, I'm not involved in their talks with FOM, because it's down to FOM to make that call who they want, who they accept and who they don't.
And finally, I do want to ask you about the Haas team. They're having a good start to the year. And I did see some news that Gene Haas was making some investment in the team, which, if I'm not mistaken, that's what you were hoping for. And now it looks like he may be doing that.
I don't know about that, so what investment? I need to ask you. I need to be the journalist.
There was just a headline that he would be investing in the team at some more money after the start.
I have no idea about that. Honestly, I didn't speak with anybody about this. So yeah, I mean, it's everybody else is doing it. So to stay competitive after a good car was developed last year, you know, you need to invest to keep it going. You know, so for sure that's the only thing you can do. I don't know at what level. You know, that was my thing. I mean, to take the team forward, there needs to you need to match what all the other teams are doing.
Well, Guenther Steiner, it was great to catch up with you. Enjoy your weekend here at MotoGP. Are you with family or just by yourself?
I'm with my business partner, with my composite company, Fiberworks. He's here with me, and our chief engineer, which is the biggest fan of MotoGP, our chief engineer at Fiberworks Composites. So I'm here with them having a little bit of fun. A boys' weekend out.
Well, and then lastly, again, how is Fiberworks Composites doing?
It's doing good. It's doing very good. You know, we have got a lot of work, and we are moving into a 120,000 square feet facility, hopefully end of July, August, you know, and it's growing. You know, we've got over 200 people working there now, so you know, that keeps me out of trouble.
Well, and you guys enjoy your weekend.
Thank you very much. Thank you.